what we've seen over this last week is the Indian government has banned, a series of politicians, social media influencers, cricketers and Pakistani news channels that the Indian government, says and claims is spreading misinformation. Now, interestingly, the Indian government's also gone to the extent of banning non-political celebrity accounts as well. On the other side, we're seeing, many people on social media spreading, fake news about the fallout from, these sort of diplomatic ties, the suspension of this water treaty, sharing fake satellite images, sharing, old videos from other parts of the world of firing across the border. And, this is really starting to, agitate people on both sides of the border. And, I'm not sure it's helpful in any sense, on the brink of, some sort of strike.
Meghna, Pakistan's information minister claims India's planning to launch an attack. How likely is this to happen? I mean, India and Pakistan have already fought 2 wars over Kashmir. Would they risk escalating this to an armed conflict?
Yeah, look, Yvonne, this talk of war has reached a fever pitch in this last week after this terrible massacre of 26 civilians in Pahalgam in Kashmir. Whether it reaches that level, we don't know yet, but many experts and Pakistan's, defence minister and information minister certainly believe that a strike by India is imminent. Now, what we've seen over the last week is Pakistan has been violating a ceasefire, almost every night this week along this de facto line of control between Indian and Pakistan-controlled parts of Kashmir. And they've even fired over the demarcated international border in the last few days. Now, the Indian government has been holding security meetings this week, weighing up their response. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi has, come out and say that he has given his armed forces complete operational control to decide on the mode, target and timing of India's response against Pakistan, who it blames for this attack in Kashmir. The government, in 2019, in response to a suicide attack in the Kashmir region, which killed 40 military personnel in India, India had launched a surgical strike into Pakistan at that time, targeting, a terror outfit called Jaish-e-Mohammed. We've seen India do this in the past, and this attack is especially heinous given, the massacre of civilians. It's the worst, kind of attack that Kashmir has seen of this nature in the last 2 decades.
So, Meghna, what's the mood like in India and Pakistan? I imagine it must be very tense, as we know both countries are nuclear armed. Are people afraid? Is there a lot of frustration?
Yeah, look, Yvonne, this is definitely a serious time. There's no sort of 2 ways about that. These are 2 nuclear-armed nations with comparable arsenals. While some believe it won't actually get to that level, the rhetoric of the last week is pretty serious. And seeing what we have in the past, that a strike or that sort of friendly fire is definitely going to happen. Now, what we've been seeing is, I've been on the India-Pakistan border this week, where we've seen families face the fallout of, the diplomatic sort of fallout from this incident. We've seen this last week that both countries have, suspended key treaties, one including a really important water treaty. We've seen the banning of airspace for both countries. We have been seeing, a backlash against Muslims across the nations in response to this attack. What we've also been seeing is, the general Indian public shocked at, this heinous attack, and they really want the government to do something about this. One of the greatest fallouts is that visas have been cancelled on both sides of Pakistani and Indian nationals. At the border this week, we saw this scramble for citizens to get out of the country across the only land crossing, from the northern state of Punjab. This region has shared history, shared culture and shared ties, and many have sought to preserve those by intermarrying across the border. And so what we've seen is basically overnight, over a couple of days, wives and husbands being separated after both governments ordered those citizens to leave. Really heartbreaking scenes. We're also seeing villagers and farmers who live along the border, this line of control in Kashmir and sort of that demarcated international border in the north. We're seeing these, people preparing for anything that can happen. Clearing out bunkers. They've been the target of shelling in the past. So there's fear.
Meghna, really good to talk. Thank you.
Thanks, Yvonne.